So today I want to talk about how do you protect your greatest power or your greatest asset? And that greatest asset is actually your brain. How many of you have had issues where you feel like you're getting brain foggy, you're not as sharp as you once were, you're getting forgetful? These things seem to be happening more commonly. How many people are experiencing that? Anybody experiencing that? And you may be chalking it up to, well, I'm just getting a little bit older and that's just naturally supposed to happen. But what I want to challenge you with today is the idea that there are some things that you can do to protect your brain health. And definitely, hey, Melody, you said you've been experiencing some of those things. All right. So she said, yeah, I've experienced some of those things, brain fog, forgetfulness, and just wondering what's happening. Hey, Sylvia, good to see you. So definitely, this is something that can be happening as we get older, but there are things that we can do to help slow that down so that we're not, dealing with so much brain fog, et cetera. So one of those things, and brain fog is just sort of forgetfulness, that kind of thing. The thing to note about your brain is that if there's inflammation on the brain from any source, that is the brain fog is often an indication of that, meaning that forgetfulness, et cetera. So, what are some of the things you can do to protect your biggest power, your brain power? There's a few things that you can do. So, first of all, we want to think about how do we reduce inflammation as it relates to our brain. We always got to go back to food. You're going to hear me talk about that over and over again. What are some of the foods that are most inflammatory? It's going to be sugars, processed foods, those types of things, dairy, corn, soy. These types of foods are inflammatory, and that can also be evidenced in your brain function and your ability to stay sharp. Also, blood sugar control is very important as it relates to your ability to keep your brain sharp. So, did you know that Alzheimer's is called type 3 diabetes? Because just like diabetes is really a blood vessel issue and starts to damage things from that standpoint, the same is true with Alzheimer's. You're seeing if someone has a tendency for higher blood sugars per control, they're at higher risk for developing Alzheimer's disease. So, monitoring and keeping your blood sugar stable is super, super important. And what does that mean? It means reducing carbs, sugars, grains, those types of foods to reduce blood sugar. That's super, super important. And then your hormones can play a role as it relates to your brain function. In the world of bioidentical hormones, what we find is that testosterone actually can have a significant impact because it can help with mental clarity. So we think of these hormones as just maybe having sexual function, but that's not the case. Sometimes we see with testosterone, it can help with energy and mental clarity. So help you being a little bit more sharp and then getting in enough sleep. How many of you could use a little bit more sleep? Anybody having issues in that way as far as getting in enough sleep? This is key and critical for your brain to be functioning properly. The ideal window is about 8 hours, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. is what you're aiming for. How are you guys doing with getting that amount of sleep in? Are you getting in your ideal window when your body is repairing and restoring? How are you doing with that right now? How's everybody doing with that? All right. So Melody says, me. I'm assuming she's getting in her time in for her sleep. Excellent. So those are some of the things that you can do for brain function, meaning poor sleep can impact it. And then being physically active and doing things that help you coordinate. Hey, Michelle, thanks for joining us. She said most days she does get in that time period. Sylvia says terrible. So we might have to venture off and say a little bit about what may be causing you not to sleep so well. Hey, Dr. T, thanks for joining us here on Instagram. And Sylvia said she has a sleep study scheduled. Great. Melody, no, not good either. Okay. So sleep can have such a huge role as it relates to keeping your brain sharp. So again, we're talking today about what can you do to enhance one of your biggest powers, which is your brain power. So we want to think about lowering blood sugar. We want to think about lowering inflammation. We want to think about how hormones may be impacting that. Also, how your sleep may be impacting it. And one of the things that I think is so fun about the brain and keeping it sharp just as we mature is really think about having fun, like doing things maybe that you would only consider a kid to do. So puzzles and things like that that make your mind work a little bit. Coordinated dance is another one that's really good for your brain. So Zumba is a coordinated dance that I like to do, and I really miss Zumba. Shout out to Krista, my favorite Zumba instructor. Just since all this lockdown back and forth, I haven't been inside a Zumba class, but I did get to do a few virtual Zumba classes actually fairly recently. But when you're doing activity where you have to think, and there's step two, three, four, one, two, all of those types of things that you have to do, that's actually really good for your brain function. How many of you guys are getting in some sort of physical activity or even doing some sort of coordinated activity? Anybody doing those types of things? That helps your brain function. It helps keep your brain sharp. So keep those things in mind as you think about, like, what are the things that you can do to keep your brain functioning well. And another thing we want to do to keep our brains functioning well is think about, how do we get ourselves into less stressful state and a more calm state. And there's a lot of things. First of all, there's a lot always hitting us from different directions as far as what might be some of the causes of feeling stressed. But let's talk about, on the flip side, what are the things that you can do to get yourself back into a calm, restful state of mind, because that can have such a huge impact on so many areas of your body. There have been studies showing that how stress can raise your blood pressure, can impact outcomes from certain diseases. And so, on the flip side, getting yourself into that calm, restful state can also help with your brain power as well. Now, for some of you, you just may be more high energy, high stress. Some of you may feel like you're a little more calm and laid back. I'm kind of a calm, laid back kind of person, but at the same time, you want to do those things to help you calm down. So sometimes it's just as simple as doing breathing exercises. And one of the breathing exercises that I like, it's called the box breathing. So you inhale for 4, hold that breath for 4, and you exhale for 4. Hey, Joy Kate 52, thanks for joining us. So that's one way, and you want to do that for about a round of 3. Breathe normally for a couple of rounds and then do it again. And you want to be sitting in a quiet place without distraction, and do that for probably 5 to 10 minutes. And that is a great way for you to really settle yourself and get yourself in that calm, restorative state of mind. Even if you're on the job or if the kids are getting on your nerves in any moment, that might be the exact time to just say, let me take a moment and do some deep breathing before I even respond to whatever is going on right now. Those are some of the things that you can do to get yourself in that restful state of mind, which can be so important. And then also, good fats are fuel for your brain. So that's another thing that you can do, is make sure you're getting in good fats. And what do those look like? So good fats are found in foods like salmon, dense fish, avocado, coconut oil, nuts and seeds, olive oil. Those are the places where you get those nice, good, healthy fats, and fat is fuel for your brain. So all of that is really, really important for you to keep that brain functioning as well as it can for many, many, many years to come. And I would also tell you this: if you are noticing, some brain fog or forgetfulness is considered normal. But if that is a point to where it's getting beyond normal, if you find yourself in a situation and you're not sure, like, how did I get here, or even how do I get home? I've heard that happening even to physician colleagues. Then that's a little bit more serious beyond just brain fog, and that will be an indication for you to seek out some treatment, or seek out an evaluation, I should say, first with your primary care doctor. So that's another important thing. Don't just overlook something that may be happening with your body or with your brain or other functions, because sometimes that can be a signal to something more serious happening. So make sure you do get out there and seek help if you need to. So again, I'm Dr. Malika Woods. I'm coming to you every Thursday at 12:30 Central Standard Time with your WOW session, which is a word on wellness. And today we talked about what are some of the ways that you can enhance your biggest power, your greatest power, which is your brain power. So we want to reduce inflammation. We want to stabilize blood sugar. We want to look at our hormones, make sure we get enough sleep. We want to bring in some of those good fats, and we want to do some physical activity that's coordinated and makes our minds work. Those are some of the things that you can do to diminish brain fog and really utilize your best power, which is your brain power. Again, I'm Dr. Malika Woods. It's been a pleasure, and I will be back with you next time. Same place, same time next week. You all have a wonderful day.